Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, 6:30 a.m., June 3rd, and price of Bitcoin currently at 95.77. So it looks like we've pushed off the lows from yesterday a little bit, and this was something that we were expecting at least a slow grind up. I mentioned this in my YouTube live session yesterday, and I mentioned it to my Advantage members yesterday as well. Now that we're getting a push back off this June monthly open, what you want to see is maybe a grind slowly back like this, maybe towards this trend line, maybe towards this trend line, and see if you start rolling back over. The first big confirmation and sign of weakness would be we do something like this, start breaking this June monthly open. Now I can say with at least 70% confidence that if we start breaking this June monthly open, at least we'll head back towards this trend line, but higher chances are that we'll probably go back towards these lows. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I like to utilize this fixed range VPVR indicator. What this does is it identifies where a lot of the volume has taken place, in which particular ranges, right? So in this particular area right here, okay, the top side of this whole top and bottom of the range, this area with the high volume node right here, that's where a lot of the volume is taking place. Now, the way you know big players get in and out of the market is typically through volume. You have to understand that bigger players need volume, need time spent in a specific range to hide their movements when they get in and out of positions. They cannot just dump supply like $50, $100 million orders right off the bat, unless they really want to actually push the market down. And they cannot buy a significant amount of Bitcoin in market buys unless they really want to push the market up or short squeeze. So more often than not, they'll have subtle ways of going in and out of the market. And that's visible to through the volume analysis or VPVR footprint right here. So in this area right here, because there's a lot of time spent in this area, we understand that bigger players are trying to get in and out of the market in this area. Same thing with this area down here. Bigger players were trying to get in and out of the market right around there. So we are right here around this high volume node. And if you look at the price right now, we're kind of just right above it. As soon as we start pressing below it, let's just say we go like this, we start breaking down past the June monthly open as well as the high volume node, more than likely price is going to gravitate towards the next high volume node. Because like I said, the bigger players are going to typically operate through these areas. And also they need to operate in high volume. So because this area is so visible as a base, right? Base, base, and base, there's going to be other players that are going to join them. Even like myself. If I'm seeing that, okay, I want to short here, I'll probably want to take profit right here. Or if I'm looking at this rollover and I don't get to catch that short, I'm probably going to want to take my long right here. So this is how you have to identify ranges as well as where the volume is taking place in these ranges. So in this particular instance, well, the reason why we're defining that is because we are still above the June monthly open. I personally think that we could still grind back up, maybe towards $98, $9,900, and maybe even then start rolling over. But the one thing I'm a little bit more confident about is that this move to me, at least for now, is not bullish. The reason it's not bullish is because number one, on the derivative exchange, especially like BitMEX, we saw a pretty decent sized volume come in. Not only that, on the spot exchanges, we saw a pretty significant size of volume come in right here as well. Now, yesterday I told my Advantage members that, or was it? Yesterday I told my Advantage members that when price was around this 94.81 area, if it comes back to this, this key low right here that we put in terms of candle closes, that could be a potential long position that you could take all the way to the 50 fib or even the 618 fib. As you can see, price pretty much did that like right here. Okay, almost came close to it. But this is, in my opinion, a pretty decent retest. Now, we might do something like this, roll back up, push back a little bit, and then push out. I would not be surprised. But personally, if I were to look at this chart right here, I'd probably figure that there's a lot of inefficiency in terms of the movement down. So the market is going to try to fill that gap back up at least a little bit, but then maybe start to roll back over. But more than likely, because there's really no periods of consolidation, okay, it depends how strong the sellers are. If the sellers say, hell no, you're not coming back anywhere close up to here, okay, they'll probably push the prices from the 50 fib down or the 382 fib down. It's possible we could even get to the 618 fib and then start to roll over. But in either case, I'm still thinking that wherever price gets up to, it's going to probably roll over. Now, we start breaching the high of this area before we rolled over, then I'd probably say, okay, I'm wrong. We're probably going to push back maybe towards, 10,400, 10,500, possibly. But until then, I still see this as just a drop, retrace, and then start selling off. If you're looking at it in terms of wave counts, okay, this could have been, if you're looking at it in terms of wave counts, actually, let me delete this first. This could be your first. We might be, finishing off our second, like up here, third wave, fourth, and then fifth wave. I've spoken about that 7,000, $7,600 target as a first target, but I'd say there's a good amount of, resistance, or rather resistance previously turned into support now, right around 7,000 or 6,900. So I'd probably figure if this area doesn't hold, which is, the 7,576 level, probably head down towards maybe 7,000 because it's such a, even number, okay? So those are the things you want to pay attention to. So in a 5-wave down structure, that's what it might look like. Here's another interesting thing, right? So let's check out the CME, okay? So on the CME, all right, the one thing that we see right now is, again, sizable volume. So I would have, said that if the spot volume wasn't high, and if the BitMEX volume was high, and the CME volume was low, right? I would have said, okay, maybe this is like a one-off event of BitMEX only liquidations. But that's not really the case. We see high volume right here on Coinbase. We see very high volume right here on the CME chart. And then we saw high volume on BitMEX. So overall, it honestly seems like it was a big sell that was coming into all exchanges, okay? And all exchanges responded appropriately. It's not like one exchange was confused as to, okay, well, we don't understand why this is selling off, and we're just gonna stop the sell, sell side momentum right around 10,000. Most exchanges at least got to $9,200 or $9,300. Only BitMEX got to about 8,600. That's probably because there's a lot of over-leveraged traders. But even over here, the CME exchange got to 93.35. It's a pretty deep drop, from a high of 10,285 down to a low of 93.35. That's about $1,000 drop. So with that being said, I still think that it's very possible that this could be the high, okay? Now, the interesting thing about all this is if you look at it from the CME standpoint, remember, this was the key high when we had that short squeeze in October with the China blockchain thing that we had, right? And then we saw this push past just that key high in February. And now, again, we saw this big evening star, Greystone Doji-like candle right here with huge sell side volume coming in. So this tells me that we might not be ready to break this area, not only as per CME right here, but even if we're looking at it from the standpoint of this chart, okay, let's see here, this big chart right here, this resistance on BitMEX or even spot has yet to be broken. We didn't even come anywhere close to that. Like, we actually technically created a lower high because this is 10,584 as a high. This is 10,550 as the high. This is 10,473 as the high. This descending triangle obviously is, potentially wrong. Well, I don't know. I mean, it could still kind of work out where this is just like an anomaly and then price goes down like this and starts rolling back over. But for now, we're going to delete that because it doesn't make sense. Okay. So it's also possible though that this is still maybe a range like that. This is your deviation above the range. And then now we're basically coming back inside the range and maybe dropping down, I don't know, end of the month or next month or whatever. I wouldn't figure that this is going to spend too much time in this range. Probably take, if I was just looking at this structure as is with this kind of violent move down, I'd probably figure maybe a week or two, and then we start rolling down and breaking down past this key level low right here. Okay. Now, if we're looking at pivots, right, just simple pivots, okay, so we see that, on the pivot standpoint, on the daily time frame, we pretty much hit that pivot, okay? Now, if we start breaking past that pivot, the S1 is right there around 83.85. If we go on the 1 hour time frame, okay, so let's see here. Actually, let's go on the 30-minute. See if the 30 minutes is different. Or 15-minute. Oh, that's what I was looking at. Okay, so the 15-minute time frame on the CME chart, we're under that pivot, right? So possible that we even tap that pivot right here. So that's around 98.25. The spot exchanges and the CME futures exchange has about a $75 to $100 excuse me, $75 to $100 spread. So possible if we make it to the pivot on the CME exchange, which is 98.30, we might make it up to about $9,900 or so on the spot exchanges. So that means that brings us to somewhere around here, 65 or 61% fib retracement, almost, right? So anywhere between 50 and the 618. So that's what I'm thinking, that this is a potential long back up here, and then start to roll back over, which also matches up with their pivot right here. And then the roll back down towards the S1 on the 15-minute is about 9,090. Okay. So my bearish thesis is still alive and active. This now in hindsight looks like a short squeeze, and then the real sellers came to play and then they dumped the market down. Other than that, let me see. Let's see if there's anything else going on. The interesting thing about all this is, if you're looking at this from the standpoint of just OBV, right, there's a huge sell-off in OBV right here on the CME exchange. Even RSI dropped significantly. And even as per OBV, you could see the OBV has consistently gone down, even as per CME. And I've told you guys the reason OBV is important is because it helps you understand the inflows of money, right? The inflows of money were already trickling down, and even then you saw this big higher high with a very minimal movement in OBV in terms of inflows. Well, something was clearly off, right? So you got to be able to identify these kinds of divergences in terms of price going up, but then OBV not making any significant movement, or even on the RSI over here, right? Let me see here. Let's go to the XBT chart. Even on the RSI right here, right? As per this key high, higher high, but lower high right there in RSI. Okay, so it was just a lot of different things that weren't quite making sense. But being able to identify that will save you a lot of money, or possibly even make you a lot of money. Okay, so you guys have a couple things to watch out for. The June monthly opens, watch that grind back up like I showed you right here. It's possible that you might be able to get into a long position and still get that rollover. Okay. On the Advantage side, I told you guys before, we have the 50% discount for the Advantage membership. So if you want to come join. This is your one chance to give our community a shot for $50 for the month. Tons of information, tons of knowledge. And I told you guys that as per our special for the June month, we're going to have Austin. He's a former City portfolio manager, currently manages a hedge fund. Every Sunday, he's going to join our equities phone call, and he's going to tell us exactly what he's seeing in the market. And this is going to be a private Zoom session with only Advantage members. And he's going to tell us exactly what he's buying or selling in the market, not as investment advice, but he'll just tell you exactly what he's doing. I think this alone is worth that 50% off, because you get to have time and experience and questions asked to a current hedge fund manager. All right. And if you don't think that's worth $50, I don't know how to help you. But, obviously, aside from that, we have all these lock channels right here, which have a ton of information, a ton of analysis. So make sure you guys come join. Like I said, 50% off. Hit me up with a message if you do want to take advantage of this membership. All right. And last but not least, I still do maintain my analysis of this daily chart right here with this trend line being broken. I don't really see any other way where I see this trend line broken, even with this little trend line right here, right? This was the key resistance trend line. We broke up through it, but then came back inside. So this is not really a break, kind of like a head fake, really. So, and I think even John Bollinger, the guy who created Bollinger Bands, created this. He talked about this. He's talking about how this is really a head fake above the top Bollinger Band. This might be an area too short. Let's see. John Bollinger. Pretty sure he mentioned it yesterday, or maybe I'm just dreaming it. Yeah, so you can see right here, 13 hours ago, this is a head fake at the upper Bollinger Band for BTC US dollar. Time to be cautious or short. All right, so you got some of the smartest people telling you that something ain't right up here, okay? So maybe think back, and think twice to yourself why you're still bullish. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, folks. I hope this analysis was helpful. I hope you guys enjoy this content. Until then, give me a thumbs up if you do enjoy this free content. Let me know your thoughts on Bitcoin, and I want to hear more from you. Join the 50% off, like I said. Shoot me a message if you are interested in that. Until then, I'll catch y'all later. I might be doing a live stream later today. So hope y'all join. Take care and keep your stops tight.